Fishing Intelligence, a fishing improvement podcast for the modern angler. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another week of the Fishing Intelligence podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Jasonic, and on this week, we're talking with Tyler Barnes. Tyler's a surf fishing guide for his charter business, Fins on the Beach, out in North Carolina. So today, Tyler and I, we're going to be talking about the massive hurricane that hit there, kind of the recovery efforts, the effects that it's had, and then also we want to dive into what the fishing's like out in North Carolina right now, how things have changed, what's the hot bite, what's not so great, and it's going to be an awesome episode. Hope you guys enjoy. And Tyler, thank you for being on here, man.
I appreciate it, man. I always appreciate something with the angler family.
Absolutely, brother. Yeah, Tyler's also one of our angler experts. He was with us on the tour, took us out, got me on a nice lemon shark out in North Carolina.
Yeah, we had some fun, man. That was the angler tour this year. That by far the coolest weekend of fishing that I've done in the past 20 years, man.
It was special. It was special for sure. Like trying to tie in the night fishing deal with filming, and then getting to spend time with you out in North Carolina. You opened up your house to us, took us in. It was great, man.
Yeah, it was fun, man. I will not turn down another chance to do it. Hopefully, I'm gonna get Derek and them guys up here soon.
Yeah, do a little angler getaway. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that's what we need. I got I can sleep 4 here. We can get them all down here.
Absolutely, man. So let's talk about this massive hurricane that came through. I know we talked a little bit before. Just sent my well wishes to you and hoping that you were staying safe because you closed up the hatches and stayed in, right?
Yeah, man. We stayed here. We had the opportunity about 3 days before Flo got here. We made that decision to, instead of going to West Virginia, we were staying tucked in, and it was cool. It was a nice experience to be able to be here for my friends and family that are here. The night that the hurricane hit, I actually wound up going into Swansboro, where we went to put the boat in the morning you came. I had to drive from my house to there, about a 15-minute drive, to rescue a couple shrimp boaters that were from Georgia. Their boat wound up they lost all 3 of their anchors, and then they were drifting free through the channel, keeping underway, and they got a rope wrapped in their prop, and it put the boat completely disabled. We wound up having to go get them. I kept them guys here for, I think, 5 days total, and then we found a shelter to where it was easier for them, their family, to come get them and pick them up. So the hurricane was a crazy experience here. It was the worst storm I've seen my whole life that I can remember. The only worst hurricane was when I was real young, and it was a giant eye opener for everybody around here. That's for sure.
Yeah, because I remember seeing something about you posting like it's North Carolina's been lucky. It's been a while. We've dodged a lot of hurricanes, and you guys finally took one. And
yeah, it had been about I'd say about 10 years since we had anything over a Category 2. A Category 2 storm here is just a lot of wind and a lot of rain, nothing over 60, 70 mile an hour. But the night that storm came through, it went from hanging out in the front porch to you're not going outside. Yeah, because it was blowing. It was, as soon as you tried to open the door, it blew the door out of your hands.
Wow.
It was so bad that we had the rainwater literally was coming in through the door jambs of the house.
Holy cow.
It was that extreme. It came in. We had a due northeast wind, so it was pushing a wind direction that this area is really not used to. It completely shaped this area where I live. Again, Mother Nature really she put her foot down and let us all know she's still the boss, to say the least.
But it's great that that you were able to help people out during that, because there's only so many people that are willing to stay in town and risk their lives to go help others. So props to you for doing that.
Once they do the curfew around here, the fire and EMS, they quit running. So we took and we put a military battery in the house and ran the fish tank, because you know how dear that is to me, and ran the fish tank, the Xbox, and the TV, and kept a cooler full of drinks and food. And we didn't have electricity for 6 or 7 days. We didn't get TV and internet and good cell phone reception for about 2 weeks. It was I was trying to stay on the Instagram and stuff like that and keep people up to date, because I have a lot of people that went out of town that just they had the opportunity to be able to leave. But with my girlfriend, she was working at the hospital still at that time, and I weren't leaving this state without leaving her here. That definitely that wasn't happening. So we decided to hang out here, and it was definitely an experience, to say the least. It was pretty crazy around here to watch trees that you can't even wrap your arms around. Watch them get folded over like toothpicks. It was epic. And then we had the night after the hurricane came, after the eye had already passed us. The next day it was pretty decent out, not raining. It was nice and sunny out, but still winds 60, 75 mile an hour. And we decided, it was going to be a decent day. We were hanging out here at about 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, not able to sleep. The house was hotter than all get out because you ain't got no AC, no power. And it just went still quiet outside. It got that eerie feeling that you knew something was getting ready to happen. And then half-inch hail started dropping out of the sky, and we had a tornado come through I'd say about a quarter mile away from the house.
Jeez.
And it got a little nuts around here for a little while, but the storm wasn't too bad. I mean, y'all went to the pier with me. I was that pier is 26 foot off of the water line on our normal high tide. And the night before that storm, I was walking on that pier and watching the waves come through the boards and crashing over the end of the pier.
Oh, that's insane. Because I mean, we were out there, and I can visualize that. That's
to
nuts.
Visualize that, the size of those pylons, and to think that the waves were literally, it felt like you could have just stepped off the rail and stepped right into the waves. They were that high.
That's terrifying. It
was nuts, to say the least. We went out the night before. I actually went on Facebook Live for it. Heck, it had something over like 16,000, 18,000 views, and that video went viral. But it was that pier. You could stand on the end of it and watch the lights change from left to right as they went down. The poles shaking on the pier that bad. Oh. I mean, it was a little hairy out there.
Hey, well, we're glad you're all right, man.
It's things matters. You just got to deal with living in a hurricane-prone area. The East Coast we're no stranger to a hurricane. It's going to happen, and it's one of those things you just gotta hope for the best.
So I'm curious now. Did the hurricane, does that affect fishing? Like, are there predictors for how hurricanes are going to affect the water post-hurricane, or is that like something that is just storm to storm? It's going to change it each time?
Yeah, it's pretty much storm to storm. This hurricane, it changed our whole everything around here.
Really?
The beach, the beach when y'all came here, we had about 50, 60 yards of sand in between the dunes and the water line. You can literally now lay my shark rods down between the high tide marker and the sand dunes.
Wow.
They went from 50 yards to 14 to 18 feet.
Wow. That's crazy.
And it resurfaced everything around here. Them hurricanes, when they come through, the storm surge is just so high that, I mean, y'all went to my parents' house too, and normally that creek that's behind there, you have to look off the back porch and you can just barely see the creek. That creek was about 6 foot over top of the fence that was in the backyard.
Holy cow.
And it changes things. I mean, we never really know whether the storm's going to completely kill our fishing for the year or if it's going to make it better. And this year, it's looking like it's made it better. It changed our beach for the better. It made it a whole lot deeper around here, but our surf's been brutal here since then. And we're just now starting to get clear water again.
Oh, because it changed the whole structure of the bottom?
Yeah, it moves that sand around so much that it completely changes everything, and it made the water real milky for about a month. And now we're starting to finally get through the whole pollution aspect of it, because there's a lot of, your sewage runoff and stuff like that happens with these hurricanes just because your water level rises. Everything down here, where we're at right here, is not even 15 foot above sea level. Yeah. So when you get that high tide like that, people around here, they had some people had inches of water at their doorstep. Some people have feet of water in their house. Mm-hmm. I mean, and the satellite pictures, if you've seen those online, just out of some of the inlets here, it was just pure black water. That there's where y'all drove in through back from Wilmington, that main highway you took to me, that highway was actually about 3 foot underwater. They had the fire department out there for like 3 weeks after it, taking fire hoses and washing fish off of the highway.
Wow. Yeah,
it was that high.
It's all mind blowing to me coming from this Ohio kid. It's like I don't understand the severity of these storms. I've never dealt with anything like this, so it's just it's always interesting to hear the first person
crazy
perspective. Yeah.
I mean, it went from the day before the storm, it was beautiful. We were fishing that afternoon. I mean, beautiful here. The calm before the storm. No waves, no wind. And then that night it picked up from 5 foot waves to 15 to 20 footers just overnight. Within a couple hours, just the closer and closer that storm got, it started to pick up. And then that it was actually on I believe a Thursday. It was that Thursday night that the storm actually got here. And we were watching pine trees that are 60 foot tall just get laid over like they weren't even there. Just like you walked up to them and pushed them over.
Wow. But now things are like you're back in the swing of things. You were telling me before we got on this podcast that you're already catching near citation Spanish. So it's how's the fishing going right now? Because I know you're out today.
The fishing today was very sporty, to say the least. And we got this tropical storm coming up on us tomorrow, so the surf was pretty churned up tonight, but we still caught a couple nice fish. No sharks. I took over the Angler Instagram earlier, hoping to show off another big boy, but we didn't wind up having much of anything tonight. I had a charter last night. We had about 12 runs total, and it's been the fishing has been excellent. We've seen our migratory fall species starting to show up. Our trout, our pompano. We're getting our run of big redfish and stuff like that, but it's a crapshoot whether the storm is going to be productive or if it's going to shut us down for the whole winter. And the only thing the storm really did was push out most of the live bait, like your shrimp and stuff like that. They're gone. That tide came in and they went back out in the ocean to seek safety, and it cuts us off for live bait, but that just means it's winter. It'll just be all artificial fishing mainly.
Okay.
So, but the Spanish bite has been epic. This month and next month is my favorite 2 months of the year as far as beach fishing goes. Like this week, I've been out 7 nights a week. This past week, I fished all the way through the week. Every day I got off at 4 o'clock. I was on the beach by 5:30 every single day last week.
That's awesome, man. Run me through like your Spanish setup, because I know that we posted an article really going into detail about your Spanish fishing in particular, and I mean everybody can find that on our angler.com page. But give the listeners a run through of your basic setup while you're fishing for those Spanish.
Well, I just picked up a newer setup. I've been poking around a little bit, more of that kind of the guy that wants to get into this but's not very sure and wants to be able to go to any chain store and buy a rod and reel setup and go. Now that I'm working in this new store, I got to be able to refer customers on what you can and can't do, what's going to work and what's not going to work. And this year I just wound up getting I've had about 3 weeks now, and I'm really enjoying it. It's the Abu Garcia Veritas rods. I bought the extra heavy 7-footer, and I'm fishing that with a Shimano Sahara 4000 with 10-pound braid. And
that's pretty light.
Yeah, I bought my stuff down this time of the year so that I can get my yardage. Even when it's windy, I can still get my long casts. But I'm still running a 30-pound mono or fluorocarbon leader on the end of that 10-pound just for a little bit of tooth abrasion, just because they like to hit a lure in front of it instead of getting in the back of it. That's most of your misses and stuff, and it tends to, if you fish straight braid, it's going to cut you off. The braid doesn't have that razor blade resistance like mono does. Mono just bends over and you got to replace your leader. But braid, it doesn't take anything to cut that stuff. It's been productive this year. I've been using the wing ding. I tell you, I got to give a big shout out to my buddy Jeff. Y'all brought that lure here and you created a monster.
You've been throwing
That
the wing ding from the surf?
Dude, that wing ding in the surf is ridiculous.
Really? That is
Yeah.
awesome to hear. We gotta make sure we tag Jeff up in this podcast.
Yeah, for sure. Jeff will. He's been kind of tickled pink with me here lately. I've been sending him videos and pictures, and I've been getting on. I think this winter I'll wind up doing starting a YouTube channel for my charters, just as a little how to and this kind of stuff like we're doing right here, and like my article and stuff, because I enjoy teaching people how to fish.
Yeah, and that's why you're in the guide business.
The wing ding has been epic in the surf. I've been stacking up big bluefish, a couple Spanish. I've caught here in the past week, I caught a 6-pound flounder on it.
Really?
And that one was pretty cool. I've caught a couple redfish on it, and I've been throwing my normal Castmasters. I love my Castmasters. There is nothing like that you can buy off a shelf and not have to have custom made.
So the Castmaster's kind of the more spoon-styled lure, whereas the wing ding, for those who don't know, it's basically you have this lead body that's pretty heavy. It has a single blade off the back, a single like prop style blade off the back, and then a line through hole through the lead, and you tie on a treble hook under it. So it's this free weighted lead weight with a tail on the back, or with a blade on the back, and then you can bomb those casts. Like you can chuck that thing forever.
Oh yeah, on a clear day, on a beautiful 5-mile-an-hour wind day, headwind, you can get that thing out there. And I've been fishing I got some from him here recently that were the half-ounce ones. And I've been running them on a very, very small 7-strand wire instead of running a mono leader through them, just so I got that tooth-proof aspect. Because most of the time when they have that thing, they have got it down their throat. They did not miss it whatsoever. And I've had to jump up to my tooth-proof after losing a couple of them, and those things are dear to heart to me anymore.
And it's so simple, but it's so effective. And the funny thing is, you can use those for anything. I mean, we were fishing bass for them. We were fishing saltwater. FLW just posted an article about them. So it's...
Oh, you saw what Jeff did here in last month. He won a bass tournament, a big-time bass tournament down by him with one.
Yep.
That's all he was using.
So
and them
definitely
lures,
check those out.
I swear, we learned it the day y'all brought them out here. They work in the ocean. They work bottom fishing. They work in the surf. They work in the ponds. That little lure is the dumbest little thing I've ever fished in my life, but it is the most fun and coolest lure I've ever used.
I couldn't agree with you more. I was thinking about it brought me back to being on the boat out there with you guys, and then that brought me back to my embarrassing moment on the boat. So this was actually something that never made it on the tour page. So this is like a little snippet that most people didn't hear about. But Tyler and his dad took Alex and I out on their boat, and we were going out 7 miles offshore, right?
Yeah, we were 7 to 10 roughly. We ran out all the way. That day we ran out about 12, 14 miles. We stayed pretty close still.
Yeah, so we weren't anything ridiculous, and there were pretty good swells. The time between swells was pretty short, so you're out there, you're bouncing around, and I'm sitting next to Alex, and Alex looks over at me and he says, "Man, I was thinking I was getting seasick for a second there." And up to that point, I was feeling great, like totally good. I was just fishing, having fun. We were catching grouper, and as soon as he said that, I started thinking, I'm like, man, was I feeling seasick there for a second? No, I don't get seasick. I would never.
And then
get
you
seasick.
just got white out of nowhere.
Dude, so the next 20 minutes, right, I'm thinking about it. I just keep thinking, and then I'm convincing myself. I'm like, okay, I'm seasick, but I don't want to say anything. I got to be a man about this and not...
Yeah, you got really, really quiet for a minute. I knew it was coming.
Yeah, and then as soon as I decided to finally admit that I was seasick, I turned around to Tyler, and I said, "Yo, Tyler, can I get those meds?" And you said, I must have mumbled it, because you said, "What'd you say?" And I said, "Can I get those?" And then just threw up everywhere. At least I got it off the side of the boat, but oh man, that was so bad.
That happens to the best. Man, I've been fishing my whole life and I still get seasick, but I don't. The thing with me is I don't get seasick until I stop doing something.
Yeah.
That's why when I'm on the boat, you saw me that day. I'm bouncing around. I'm doing anything I can to keep myself busy, because that is the most miserable feeling in the world.
It really
being
is.
seasick.
Yeah, I've never experienced it before, and it just felt like I was
It
like,
takes your
man,
whole body over.
just kill me, just
Yep.
end it. And then as
Yep,
soon
it's
as I
time to
threw
go
up, I
home.
felt great. So
Yep. You just got to get past that initial, I feel like death, and just talk yourself into letting it go. And then once you do, yeah, it's great after that, and you can go back to your normal day. But till that point, no, not so much.
so
It's
speaking of the boat, how's the offshore bite been?
oh man, recently I went. I guess that was 2 weeks ago. I went with my commercial buddy on a commercial operation. I think you met Marcus while you were here.
Oh yeah,
And I went out with him and the guy that he commercial fishes with. We wound up with 350 pounds of V-liners, 150 pounds of grouper, and like 100 pounds of triggerfish all in one day.
wow, man.
It was pretty epic. Using electric reels like you saw that day you went with us.
Yeah.
Using electric reels, 6-hook rigs. You push the button, hook a fish, drop it back down, hook another one, so on and so forth. And when it's been a couple minutes, you reel it in, you got 6 at a time. It's been and the wahoos are starting to show up here now. That's the high speed fish of the year before the tunas get here.
Okay.
That one's he's like a king mackerel that met a bodybuilder when he was little. And they are when you troll for them, you're trolling 15, 20 mile an hour, and they hit a lure and they can smoke the boat at that fast.
Really?
I mean, they're a powerhouse.
So you got to have a lot of line then. You got to be ready.
Yeah, we're using our 80 wads. Your big 80 wads with up to 500-700 yards of line.
Oh wow, the 80 wides are for the wahoo.
Yeah, you got to have them, or they'll burn you up on anything else. They're just so fast that the smaller reels can't handle them.
Wow.
Yeah, your 80s and your 50s. I just picked up a Tiagra 50 wide, and that's what I've been using a lot this year. The wahoo bite's been pretty good. We had another little run of cobia for a little while. Dad actually got to get his cobia for the year. We had the grouper fishing is still off the hook. It's awesome right now, and the offshore flounder bite has been epic. We went and did that this past weekend. I had the morning off, and we went out flounder fishing for a little while. We wound up with I think it was 35 fish in less than an hour.
How deep are those flounder in?
They're staying in that 15, 20 foot range. They're staying in the real close wrecks up near the coast.
Okay.
They're not very far offshore. It was we found a pretty morning. We were going to go trout fishing. It was just too slick. We took actually an 18-foot flats boat out in the ocean and went out and caught them. It was that slick out.
Huh.
We were running 65 mile an hour out in the ocean.
That's a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, that's awesome. When you're out there in no man's land, you can just let her open up and let it run. That's always fun.
And what are you fishing those flounder with? Are you like bucktails or?
Yeah, your bucktail rigs with your 4-inch gulp shrimp, 4-inch swim mullets. Sometimes we take and if we catch a couple albacore or something like that, we'll strip out the bellies of them and put 4 or 5-inch strips of belly meat on there. And you're just basically you're putting the trolling motor in. It's kind of like your aspect of bass fishing, like you guys are doing with your drop jigs and stuff like that. Kind of scanning the bottom, trying to figure out where your structure is and figure out where the fish are hanging out at. Once you do that, you stay right there on them, set the eye pilot, and just sit right there on top of them, and it's one after another. If they're stacked up somewhere, you'll catch them.
That's awesome. Yeah, that sounds a lot like bass fishing. Just
It basically is. It's like your deep water lake hopping is
Very
all
cool.
it really amounts to.
And then you said earlier that you just had a guide group go out. What was that, a couple nights ago?
Yeah, I had 3 charters this past week, and all of them were nights, and I went out a night by myself just to get away and do some fun fishing with me, myself, and I for a little while, because I've been getting to where I don't have many of those days left anymore, to where I could just go out there and unleash myself and have some fun. And we're getting 10, 15 runs a night. The big sandbar sharks have showed up, and it's they're one of the most high adrenaline ones we catch. They don't stop. I actually got my my Penn Spin Fisher, my prototype. I got it spooled the other night.
Spooled, really?
Yeah, 650 yards. I couldn't stop him.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fun. I had it on about a 60-yard cast, and I was setting my baits real short because they like to hang out close to the beach. And he picked it up and kind of played with it for a little while, let him get a little deep into my braid, and then he decided to put it in low gear and get it on out there. And I wound up fighting him on the beach for probably, I'd say, probably close to 45 minutes by myself. And he eventually, he ate all my braid.
Jeez.
Yep, he got me.
That's an expensive date.
Yeah, that's a $70 date right there. That holocore don't come cheap. They don't give that stuff away anymore.
Your girlfriend's not gonna be happy. That could have been $70
Hey.
spent on a different date.
Yeah, I made sure that I went to the tackle store while she was still at work. Yep,
That's
it was
too
an
cool.
expensive one, but every once in a while, hey, you got to get, you got to hook into that big fish, and you're always waiting for that epic fight. And
Yeah.
it just happened that this fight I lost.
Yeah, you probably could have cooked an egg on your reel or something after that, I'm assuming. Just pull and drag for
Um,
700 yards.
Yeah, I called the guys at Penn and I said, look, man, I said, I just want to go ahead and tell y'all something right now. I said, I tried to break that reel tonight. And the guy said, what do you mean you tried to break it? I said, well, I locked the reel down, and then for about 10 minutes after, I made sure that it was locked down because I kept turning it and trying to see if it would lock down harder. And 40 pounds of drag was not stopping that fish.
That's awesome. I'm surprised
It
it
was,
wasn't smoking.
Yeah, he had me for a little while. He had me to where the braid was getting hot, and you could start to feel the heat coming through the gears of the reel, and the spool itself was getting hot. It got to that point a couple times. I think I washed it down at least twice because it was starting to get warm. But yeah, he got me.
That's funny.
That one won this time. When the big sandbars get here, it's when I got to transition from my my regular cast bait rods into my kayak rods, just to have that little bit more power.
Yep. Yeah.
Because they're big boys. They don't. The smallest one I caught last year was around 60-inch range. The biggest one was 103 on my cast bait rods.
Wow.
Yeah, they're not like the black tips. I mean, y'all got to see a nice healthy black tip. These fish are another 1.5 2 foot on them, and the body girth is twice the size. They are, besides a bull shark, they're one of the most high adrenaline ones we got here.
That's
As
cool.
far as your cast bait catching, and they're fun. Oh my God, they're fun because they're pure power. They don't stop. They never give up. So it's every year we get that month and a half that they're here, and that month and a half is so much fun.
So this is the time that people should get on booking for a fun
Yeah.
night of multiple runs.
Yeah, it's getting that magical time of the year to where it's so busy that if you didn't get a run, there's something wrong that night completely. Because this time of the year there's so much of our migratory species in the surf. Like we're getting our what they call a mullet run every year, and that'll be it'll be in the next 2-3 weeks. We'll have a solid black line that's anywhere from a foot wide to 3.5, 4 foot wide. Solid black line of finger mullets that run down our beach constantly, every day, all day.
Oh,
And
really?
it's an excess of bait. That's when we get our false albacore clothes, our big Spanish. I'll catch one up in the 7-8 pound range here soon.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a plethora of bait. They don't have to look for their food.
That's too cool, man. I wanna get back out there for that. That sounds like
Yeah,
fun.
You're about due. I'm telling you, y'all boys are due.
For sure,
I've been
man.
telling y'all this for the past 3 weeks. It's time.
I know. I'm just trying to find a little bit of time here with classes, you know?
You gotta tell them, look, man, I need to go fishing. Just do it.
I did that last week. We did we're shooting a little brand video, the Angler Boys.
Oh, yeah?
And so we were up in New York filming a pretty epic video. You're going to like it when it comes out, and so will everyone else. But
Cool.
Yeah, it's funny stuff, man. Our boy Frank, the editor of the Angler Tour, he did it right, so it's going to
Yeah, I
turn
did
out well.
see I saw that little teaser of y'all hanging out by the campfire the other night. I figured something cool was going on.
Yeah. We always got something up our sleeves, you know? Got to keep making videos, keep it fun.
Yeah. I saw the camera and the fake cat muff hanging. I knew something was getting ready to happen.
Yeah, for sure. But man, I appreciate you hopping on here. It was fun talking, and that was a quick 30 minutes, but we're already at time, so
Hey man, anytime, you're always more than welcome. Just give me a holler. I'm always here and we're always fishing, so there's no bad time of the year and no bad time of the day to give me a shout.
appreciate it, man. And if you guys want to check out Tyler's guide business, Fins on the Beach. Tyler, what is the best way for them to reach you?
Facebook is the number one. Facebook is Fins on the Beach Guide Service. you'll see all my contact information there, all my stickers, shirts. They all have my phone number on them and everything. And as well as Instagram, you want to stay up to date just on catches, and you don't want to have to look at all the comments and all the questions and stuff like that. Instagram, it's Tyler Barnes 101. You'll see all my big boys and all the cool stuff that happens throughout the year. I make sure to take plenty of pictures.
Alrighty, well, thanks again for being on, Tyler. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Jacob, it's always a pleasure, buddy.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Fishing Intelligence. I'll catch you guys next week. Fishing Intelligence, a fishing improvement podcast for the modern angler.